AI isn't magic, and a pattern I noticed is that it acts like a mirror, and the reflection is what you type into it. So in this video, I'm going to break down the real science behind prompt writing. You'll learn how to structure the perfect prompt, how to avoid the common mistakes, and I'll give you tons of examples. And at the end, I will reveal my 4-step framework to write the perfect prompt. I've written thousands of prompts in the last year alone, trying to code startups, write YouTube scripts, and also learn for uni and try to do research. So I bring to you the ultimate prompting guide that will make you a 10x prompt engineer. But first, to better understand the idea of writing great prompts, we need to ask ourselves the question, why are they even that important? Why you can't just ask some random question and expect a good result? I think the easiest way to illustrate this is to go back in time a bit to the time where the newest model was GPT-3. And what it was used for is to power GitHub Copilot, which is like a autocomplete for programmers but on steroids. But why was it so good at its job? Well, it was a fine-tuned GPT-3 model and not the one that you get directly from the provider. But what does fine-tuning mean? Well, it's simply trained on lots of data that helps to solve a specific kind of problem or prompt. The problem with fine-tuning is that it's really expensive, but we can work around that, and that's why a good prompt can give you 80% of the results with 20% of the work you have to do. Treat your prompts like a small fine-tune for your model. Now that you know why it's so important, let's get right into the examples. The first one I caught myself using tons of times whenever I was script writing, and it goes like this. Write a story about a hero. I think you can already see it's really bad. What kind of hero? What kind of story? What tone should the story be in? It's not something that AI should guess. So a better way to write that prompt would be something like this. Write a 3-paragraph adventure story about a young hero who discovers a hidden talent of writing in an encounter with a king. Use an inspiring, whimsical tone. It's so much better already when you hear it. You give clear instructions on the content, the length, and the tone, and the AI doesn't have to guess all these things. Next one is really useful if you work with lots of content, and I've seen tons of people do this. They just ask the AI to summarize this, and they paste a long content below that, and they expect to get an amazing note and simplified summary, but they get some useless stuff. Why? Well, once again, you need to be more specific. So, for example, you can ask the AI to summarize the following notes from our team meeting into 3 bullet points for a Slack message. Team discussed Q3 growth, decided to pause outreach campaigns and relocate budget to a performance marketing. The model doesn't know what this is unless you show it. So being specific in the format you want and what the content is about instantly makes the model more likely to output something useful that you can use in your work. I also often use AI to get some feedback on whatever I'm doing. So I used to write prompts like, what do you think of this? And once again, dump tons of context. It doesn't work great. Instead, I realized that it's better to ask it something like, give 3 reasons why the redesign of this homepage improves user experience based on usability principles. The improved version clearly sets a goal you have in mind, and the AI focuses only on that task that you specified. Next one is a mistake students often make. So they'll go in and type something like, what's the history of art? And the bad prompt is too broad. Instead, you should probably break this broad prompt into some smaller prompts, and each one should probably look something like, you're a historian, summarize the history of Renaissance art in Europe in 2 or 3 paragraphs and mention one way it differed from medieval art. And you can repeat this prompt for different times, and you will probably get something much more usable, and you'll get the desired output format so that you don't have to do so much editing later. And I used the same principle in this one in the previous prompt. Let's see if you notice that. So a bad prompt could be, what are social media trends? And a good prompt to fix that, once again, too broad prompts would be something like, you are a digital marketing strategist. Outline 5 current social media trends relevant to small e-commerce brands and use bullet points and actionable advice. What's important here? The first sentence. You are a digital marketing strategist. When you assign a role to the AI, give it a voice, a tone, and context to draw from, you're going to improve the output significantly. This is basically like showing it your world, and it just, you can imagine, activates some neurons that are related to that piece of world in its brain, and that's why it's going to give you a better result. Next one, I use it so often whenever I deal with YouTube and trying to repurpose content for other social media. So I often use it to extract some keywords. And I used to do this like this: extract keywords from this text, then enter, dump lots of context, and expect a good result. But then I had to do tons of editing with the output because I would get tons of useless stuff around it. So instead, I try to do something like this. I do text and I paste my text like here. For example, Alice loves programming in Python, exploring machine learning, blah, blah, blah. And then I show it the keywords that I want from that piece of text: Python, programming, and machine learning. And now I ask it to do the same for another text, and then I paste that context. And I will get a beautiful list of keywords without all of other fluff. Whenever I learn and I don't understand something, I used to paste my question and I would get the answer, but I really wouldn't know how the AI achieved that answer. And it's especially annoying if you use some plugins like Wolfram Alpha, for example. So I would ask something like, what's the derivative of this function? And I would get the result. But if I wanted to know how to do that, I'd write something like, solve this step by step, what's the derivative of this function, and then paste it. It's a logical approach, and for complex tasks, it improves the model's ability to solve these problems if you pinpoint that you need a step-by-step solution, and you'll get more context out of your prompt. I often write system prompts in my applications where I use AI. I try to create a script writing app, and I've made tons of videos about it. If you're interested in that, you can go back and watch them. But I used to use a lot of negative instructions. So for example, I'd say don't be too wordy and don't use complex terms. And the AI may misinterpret this negative phrasing or just simply ignore it. So a better prompt would be to ask it to be concise and explain it using simple everyday language. I noticed that positive framing is usually better than doing these negative instructions, and the AI will be more likely to do what you want to, and that's how it will avoid doing the things that you don't want it to do. The last two examples are not really prompts, but more like behaviors that I noticed lots of people do. So let's start with the first one. I noticed that non-techie people have this kind of a weird way to interact with this, as if it was a chat with their friend on WhatsApp. What do I mean by that? Well, at first they will chat about that art, and then they will switch to getting some life advice. Then they will ask for a cooking recipe, and yeah, the chat will be this long, it won't even fit. And then they will think, why am I getting bad results? That's probably when the chat context gets overloaded, and this will lead to hallucinations. So to avoid that, whenever you switch topics, just create a new chat. And it's crazy how many people do this. So yeah, don't be one of those. And the last one is the kind of opposite. I was one of these people. Whenever I had something to ask the AI, I would start a new chat. And sometimes I would talk about the same topic, but in a new chat once again. And that's when you don't utilize the context, and that's also not a thing you should do. You often expect the first prompt to give you a perfect output, but that's not the case, and this is a chat application, which means you're meant to talk with it and iterate over the results over and over again. So instead of starting new chats every time, just ask some follow-up questions like make it sound more friendlier or shorter, or make this easier to digest, or make it more complex if you're trying to impress your professor at uni. Just make sure that you're doing the right thing whenever you ask the question. Should it be a new one or should it be an old chat? Make sure you understand the difference. All right, now that you understand the mistakes, let me show you my 4-step framework that I use to write the perfect prompt. And I call it the 4-pillar framework. So it looks like this. The first part is the persona. Who do you want the AI to act as? Is it going to be a historian or a business strategist? Specify it first. As I mentioned in the examples, this is a good way to guide the AI in your world. So let's construct the perfect prompt. The first sentence would probably be something like, you are a world-class business strategist. The second thing you want is the task. So, for example, if we fill it once again, create a detailed business plan for my web dev agency, specializing in landing pages and marketing funnels. As you can see, I'm also really detailed here, a very important part that I mentioned in the mistakes part of the video. And next, what we can do is dump all the context into the AI that it needs to know about you or the task you're asking it to fix. So, I'm a 20-year-old computer science student. I have 3 years of experience in creating websites in HTML and CSS. I'm also familiar with WordPress. I've been running a YouTube channel about web development and AI for over a year now, and I have nearly 1,000 subscribers. This is a place where you dump lots and lots of information after you specified the task and the persona. And finally, you specify the format you want the AI to output. So here you could say something like, format the response in a research form so I can create a PDF out of it. And that's the perfect prompt formula. I write these prompts a lot and they got a bit long, so I made a small app to help me just save time on writing those, and I just copy-paste them and put little placeholders that let me write these prompts faster. So let me show you how it works. It's called PromptBox and it's free. You can download it in the description. So basically I can click on the menu bar. I have folders. I click on the prompt I want to get. I click it and it instantly copies to clipboard, and I can paste it in my app of choice, whether it's Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude. It works everywhere. It just pastes the clipboard, and you need to replace later the placeholders. If you want to learn how I made an app like that, watch this video next to learn more about it.